Hello, everyone. Thanks for watching. I'm David Hopper, Austin Bureau Chief of the music site 360degreesound.com. The 2025 South by Southwest Music Festival is coming up. It'll take place March 10th to 15th in Austin, Texas. And we'll be bringing you exclusive interviews with artists as part of our South by Southwest Artist Spotlight series. Today, I'm joined by singer, songwriter, guitarist Gus Baldwin, who will be performing a South by Southwest showcase with his band Gus Baldwin and the Sketch. They're playing a showcase at the 13th floor, May 10th at 11 p.m. Gus, thanks for joining 360 Degree
Yeah,
Sound.
thanks for having me, man.
So, uh,
Appreciate it.
yeah, I wonder if you could give our viewers and readers a little introduction to you and your music. I understand you've been playing music for a while, but your band, The Sketch, is relatively new, starting in 2022. If you could maybe
Yeah.
give us a little background. Yeah.
Well, Sketch came out of my old band, which is a group called Acid Carousel, which is kind of like a psych rock thing that we started up in Dallas when I was in high school. And then I left that group in like 2021 after being like a little over 6 years in the band. And we had moved down to Austin from Denton, Texas, where we were living at the time. And everyone who I started the sketch with was kind of in that band at some point or another. Lucas, the bass player, had been in there for the longest. And then David, the guitar player from Sketch, he was in Acid Carousel for a little bit. And then Trey, our drummer, actually replaced me in Acid Carousel when I left. He became the drummer. And I don't know. I think it came from just us wanting to, or at least really me wanting to make a different type of music. So I kind of had tried it with the psych rock thing, and I lost interest in it. So I felt like I was kind of being forced to perform like a character in almost a way instead of just being myself and writing about what I wanted to write about in the style I wanted to. And I think that this kind of music, whatever you want to call it, punk or garage or just rock and roll or whatever, is more in line with what we all listened to growing up, like in high school or something like that. Like we were all like into this kind of scene, which was really big at the time too. Which is kind of funny that I missed. I found out about all of it like after it had happened, like 2014, 2015. So like all these bands we grew up loving, I missed. But I don't know. I've been playing music since I was 9 or 10 or something. I got my first guitar when I was 6, and just tried out a bunch of stuff as kids do, and this was the only thing that ever stuck or stayed around, like playing guitar and drums, and then eventually got into songwriting when I was like 17 or so, which I never thought I would do. I always just wanted to be like a guy in a band, like a drummer or something. And then I got into that, and then I'm still doing it here 10 years later.
Yeah, when you were talking about like the bands in the scene you'd miss, were you talking about like local to the Dallas or Denton area, or like more nationally known bands?
Both, because
Both.
I think there
Okay.
was like, some, like in Dallas specifically, it would have been bands like Sea Lion, Fungi Girls, Party Static and stuff, who were kind of like of that. Like I think Fungi Girls was on Hozak Records, which is like a big like guy in that indie garage scene. I think a Chicago label who I still collect releases from, and then Sea Lion was on Lollipop Records. So then, like all the bands, from both those labels as well that we were really into, especially like Burger Records was really big at the time before their fall from grace. This was like 10 years ago. And we were like 15. We were like, this is cool as hell. Like, seeing like Burgerama happening with like people like, you know, I remember we saw a poster when we were on tour recently of Burgerama 2015. And it was like literally every single one of our favorite bands from when we were in high school, all playing this one festival, whether it be like it was like Ty Segall, Palma Violets, Together Pangea, Ariel Pink, Black Angels actually played too, which was funny enough. It was a big band for us, especially being a Texas band,
Hmm.
which
And
is funny. Yeah,
and that's a band you collaborate with some, right? Black Angels?
yeah. I work for them. I'm
Yeah.
like their guitar tech, and then I collaboration would be like I play in some of their other bands, like Christian Blaine and the Revelators and the UFO Club. And then occasionally just, hang out and play music together. But yeah, do a lot of touring with them just as, a roadie, and
Mhm.
then play shows with Christian and Jake. And then sometime with UFO Club, our friend Danny Lee from the Night Beats as well is in that group. But doesn't do very much, with the UFO Club because everyone's kind of spread out and scattered around. It's hard to get us all together.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I like you to talk some about your debut album with the sketch. The sketch is what it's called. I
Yeah.
understand that was recorded in just one day, and I would think that a quick recording session like that probably helped to capture your live sound and could probably benefit your style of music. No one wants
Mhm.
to hear a overproduced punk record, so
Yeah,
if you could talk
totally.
about how like the in and out in the studio, how that helped.
Yeah. It was really fun, really easy to make too. I guess I mean the hard bit would have been like we were rehearsed. We had played all these songs a bunch over the past year or so of writing them, and then finally it was like we kept talking about like, oh, we're gonna need to record this. Like we just wanted to document the sound of the band because I've been making solo recordings and putting them out like with me playing all the instruments, but the live band needed to be documented. So we're like, all right, we got to figure out ways. We knew we wanted to do it in an analog studio, do it to tape because A, it's just an aesthetic that we enjoy, but the workflow of it, of being like, you put a tape on the reel and you roll it and you do take, and it's like if it's good, you keep it. If it's bad, you redo it. It's not like digital recording where you can go in and mess with every little imperfection for, I mean, sometimes months before you get to the final product. So it's fun. Yeah, we had a tour coming up that I had booked, and there was like one day that I couldn't fill around LA, and I was trying to do like multiple LA shows, but I couldn't fill the day, and I was like, I think during South by, which was like this was April or late April, early May of last year. I think we recorded on May. I don't even remember what day it was. It was sometime in May. But South by, the OCs had come through, and I was working at Hotel Vegas. I was talking to Tom from the OCs because I knew he had this studio, this little tape studio out in LA, and I was like, "Hey, I got this day off in LA. Would it be cool if we like came and recorded? Like, how much is it? See if we can afford it and all that." And he was down. We were down. We could afford it. Booked the day, and then like a week before we were on tour at the time. I forget. We were probably in San Francisco or somewhere, and he's just not responding to any texts or emails or anything. And then I find out, I was like, let me check the OC schedule. They're in Japan playing shows that he forgot he was doing. I'm sorry. Um, and so we hit up our buddy Joey Oaxaca, who used to live in Austin, do sound at like Hotel Vegas where we all hang out. But he works at the same studio. So we went in, just set up our gear, everything we had with us. We were in a minivan with, a couple guitar amps, our drums, and our guitars, and we just set up and we played. And it was about 11 hours, I think. First half of the day, like we did all the music. We just did like 3 takes of each songs, and then went to lunch, came back, and then I just started doing all the vocals and tracked all that. And then there was actually one song. It wasn't all recorded in one day, but it's better to say it like that. But I had to do the vocals to one song when we got home from tour in Austin because we genuinely didn't think we were going to get all that done. We just wanted to get done as much as possible. And those were like all the 11 songs we had for this project. But the last one on the record, Sympathy for Sunday, we had just learned and arranged like the week before we were leaving for tour. And I didn't have words for it yet. So I had to write lyrics on the way home. And then when we got to Austin, I went to King Electric Studios and overdubbed that one vocal. And that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really easy to make, really fun. It was just, I don't know. None of us had ever made a record like that before, where you just go in and play like with the band and you record that. I feel like we all grew up in like the Pro Tools GarageBand era of like, you make records in your bedroom with one microphone, like one piece at a time.
Yeah.
So it was really cool to like kind of see how it used to be done, back in
Uh-huh.
the day of
Yeah.
like good musicians like throw them together in a room. They know the songs or maybe they don't, and just see what happens. And it's
Yeah.
like whatever the tape records, you either keep it or you throw it away. And we decided to keep it all and just chose the best takes. And the best takes that we chose were usually not even the ones that we played the best on.
Mhm.
Like the takes on the record have so many mistakes on them. But when we would listen to it, we're like, this is a better take. Like this sounds better and the energy's better or the sound is better than the take where we played everything right. But
Mhm.
we're a big believer that like mistakes add character to stuff.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely style of music you play. Yeah, like
Totally.
I saw where you said in an interview that you want the band to be tight, but at the same time, like sound like it could fall off the rails at any moment.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
some of the best punk is like that. So
Totally. Yeah. It's like skateboarding or something, where you're like when you're feeling it, you're riding the board, you're like, all right, I'm locked in with this thing right now. But I know at like any second I'm like skating down this hill, I can hit a pebble and then I'm on the pavement.
yeah,
But
yeah,
it's the risk you want to take, because if you don't hit that pebble and you come out the other side, you're like, oh hell yeah,
right,
you're stoked. And it's
yeah,
just playing music, I think.
yeah. I like that the album is sonically diverse. It's definitely not just three chord punk. You have a lot of guitar solos. You got kind of a twin guitar attack on certain
Yeah.
songs, instrumental breaks,
Hmm.
varying tempos and song structures. So what was it important to you to make not only a concise record, but one that kind of kept it interesting with different sounds?
Um, yes, I guess, but I think honestly, like when we were making it, it was just kind of like those were the only songs we knew as a
Yeah,
band.
yeah.
Like we knew other songs, but those were the only songs that we had done like as a band. Because it's like I'll put out recordings of just under my own name, Gus Baldwin, which is like me playing everything and me writing everything. The stuff with the sketch, you want to do something with the band where everyone kind of like writes their own parts and comes up with the arrangements together, and I just kind of bring in a riff and an idea. So I don't know, it was just any whatever songs that I thought that would work the best with the band versus just me doing them by myself or what I brought in. I guess it was generally the more aggressive stuff or heavier. Maybe not aggressive, but looking back on it, when we like finally listened to the record when it came out all together, we're like, okay, we see what happened here. Like there's like it starts out very boom, 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 like kind of really fast in your face aggressive, and then I feel like it gets poppier in the middle of the record, and then it gets like dissonant and slower at the end,
Hmm.
um, which
Yeah.
is cool. I mean, it's just I don't know. It's hard to describe like your intention. I mean, I guess that some people would have intentions with records, but I'm very much the kind of guy when I make a record, it's like you go in with what you got and you figure out what that is kind of at the end. And the intention with this record was just to document the sound of the band, in this way, whereas like there's no overdubs. This is like if you went to our live show, this was what it would sound like, more or less.
Hmm.
Um, and that was like what we wanted to do because we're like, oh, we like this band, we like playing together, and we think we sound cool, but we have no like documentation of that. So that's what this was. Um, and whatever comes next, I don't know. I feel like there's a little more intention now with the stuff I've been writing for the next record with the band. Because now I can see what works and doesn't with the group. But that's also like will probably change by the time we actually get around to recording.
Hmm.
As being human beings, and we always are like distracted by a different kind of stuff. You know, because it's like this week I was into power metal, but now I'm into power pop. Whatever you get distracted by at the time will influence whatever you do.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. When you say you want to capture the live sound of the band, I guess I was thinking, what did you think about just doing a live album as far as just recording one of your gigs? I guess what
Um,
and yeah, why the studio instead of that? Yeah.
I think I had a couple recordings of live shows of ours, but I think given the way live sound is done these days, it doesn't lend itself to like good recordings,
Mhm.
especially on the drums. Like with how live miking techniques were done back in like 70s, 80s and stuff, it was way better for recording, I think, than it is today. But granted, it wasn't better for the people in the audience, actually hearing everything. So I think
Yeah.
nowadays with the closed mic drums, I don't know, it just never sounds right to me.
Mhm.
Uh, Specifically on the drums, but also it was nice to go in and like I think we wanted to do it in the studio and just play together, but do it in a controlled environment, where we know we're not confined by the length of a set. We know we what songs we want to do. We're with an engineer we trust, and he knows what we're trying to do. It's not just whatever sound guy you get that day. Um, but it worked out good because I think also too we all get very anxious at live shows. We're all very anxiety ridden boys. So when we're playing a show, it's just a whole list of distractions versus whether it be friends, strangers, fans, uh, booze, and then the anxiety on top of that. We're all usually just pretty nervous
Yeah.
and stressed out when we play live. But once we're on stage, we have a great time. It's the
Yeah.
before and after that's the hard part.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Well, you have a great, like, heavy distorted guitar tone on the record. I wonder if you could give us a little insight and how you got that sound.
The guitar sound, I can only really speak on mine. I know what David was using for his amp. His guitar was Fender Jazzmaster, and he's using a Music Man 112 amplifier. I don't know the model number. And I know he was using a fuzz factory because his fuzz pedal broke on tour, and they had one of those at the studio, so he just borrowed that. For me, I don't know. I've been using my same guitar for a long time. It's just a Gibson SG with P90s. I think it's 2010. I've had it since the eighth grade. And that through I have a Fender Quad Reverb, which I just crank the preamp on all the way,
Mhm.
and then a couple like fuzz pedal, fuzz bore. And it's really simple. It's mostly just the amp and the guitar, and then on the loud parts, I throw on the fuzz bore for chords and stuff, and then I have like a Death by Audio Interstellar overdriver that I use for like single note kind of lead stuff.
Mhm.
Uh, but yeah, it's mostly just the guitar and the amp, I think, for the sound, and it sounds cleaner live than it does recorded. I feel like when I record the amp, whether at home or at studios and stuff, it it blends in a nice saturated way with other instruments recorded. And live, it's honestly it's not that dirty. But yeah, no, we just love that old like I guess it's a garage influence, like just garage rock stuff we love. There's like old silver face Fender amps and Music Mans that are amps not necessarily designed to be for distorted guitars and like punk rock shit, but you make it work for that, even though it's something it doesn't want to do. So the
Mhm.
amp's just fighting you the whole way, and I love that
Yeah.
sound.
Yeah.
Instead of just using like a Marshall or an Orange, which is like designed to do the distorted
Uh-huh.
guitar thing.
Yeah.
Because
That's
then you can go
interesting.
overboard with it instead of like you get limited by the Fender.
Uh-huh. Interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
sounds great. Yeah, one of your titles of your songs on the album is "Beautiful Delilah." I was wondering if that was inspired by the Chuck Berry tune.
Yes and no. I just love that name. I
Yeah.
mean, we're all huge Kinks fan. I'm a huge Chuck Berry fan, but
Yeah.
as a band, I was listening to the Kinks record when I wrote that song years and years ago up in Denton as like a country song. Like the demo I have for that song is like with slide guitar
Mhm.
and like acoustics and no drum set or anything. Uh, but it was another thing. I were about to go into record, and I was like, "Oh, I got this song. I feel like if we played it like really like fast, like the Gun Club or something, it might work good." So we
Yeah.
tried it out. But yeah, I don't know. The song is about like characters I knew growing up in Dallas, and I don't like I'm bad about writing about actual people I know or like use or myself. I always try to like hide them behind a character name. So I just kind of came up with the title Beautiful Delilah for this girl I knew from Dallas that I was singing about. And then yeah, I was like, okay, well, it's like a reference, to Chuck Berry, which I love that, and I also just love the title.
Hmm.
I don't know, I've always lyrically too. I think it's just the nerd in me. I'm always trying to drop references,
Hmm.
things from the past because I'm such a fan of old music. Uh, and every now and then someone might pick up on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're the first person who's brought that up about the Chuck Berry. I'm like, it's literally a Chuck Berry song that tons of people covered.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
right. The Kinks
Jones
did
covered
it.
it
And
too.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
like not one of his most well-known songs, but it's definitely
yeah,
a great one. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I see the Ramones poster in the background, and I saw
Oh
where you
yeah.
said that your dad had played like Blitzkrieg Bop for you as a kid, and that was kind of pivotal. Wonder if you could talk a little bit about how like the classic punk has inspired you.
Um, I think it was just what I latched onto really young. So like my first musical memory is hearing the Ramones because it was like my parents were pretty eclectic in their music taste and listened to tons of different stuff. Had a killer record collection growing up, but at a certain age, I think I was 4. They play something, and you're like, "What is that?" I want to hear that again. Like, what? How does that work? So I learned how to use the CD player just so I could like listen to Blitzkrieg Bop over and over again. And then eventually, my parents, yeah, got me my own little like boombox. But I don't know. Of all the stuff my parents played, it was like Ramones was the huge one for me that I just couldn't get enough of. Really loved it. My dad was also a huge fan of The Clash,
Mhm.
um, and like Generation X, Billy Idol's band, his punk band. So those were 3 really big ones growing up, and honestly, still to this day, 3 of my favorite bands.
Mhm.
B-52s was like my mom's favorite band, but anything I just didn't like any music if it wasn't fast because that's like I don't know, I was a little hyperactive little kid, so that's like what excited me and like hearing loud guitars, and I think it was just the tempo more than anything. My dad also had a CD by that their newer band, but the Hives.
Mhm.
Uh, it was like 2000s punk band, and that was like my favorite thing because it was just so fast, uh, aggressive but fun. Like the Ramones, like it's not scary music. It's like it's pop songs. At the end of the day. So I don't know, I felt some kind of connection with that early on, which was kind of instinctive, I guess. Yeah. Because it was just like, and then I didn't listen to anything that wasn't fast and loud until I was like in high school. I started smoking weed and stuff. And then
Mhm.
I was like, all right, give me some chill records.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. As if you mentioned the hives, I just listened to Tyrannosaurus Hives the other day.
Oh, great
Randomly.
record.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
yeah,
It's a little overproduced, but oh my
yeah,
God, like it is an amazing record, man.
yeah. And
Me
what?
and Lucas, their bass player, always talk about covering Hive songs, but never come around to doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and was it Vinny Vicious or something? Vinny Vicious.
Pretty vicious. I think I
That
have
was
it.
a good one. Yeah,
Yeah, this is
yeah,
it. Venny Vitty Vicious. This was my dad's
yeah,
copy
yeah,
from
yeah. Great record.
2000. 2000.
Yeah,
Yeah, this came out when I was 2 years old, but yeah, it's all faded and beat up. I've had this in my car. I don't know. Yeah, this is one of the first things I ever had was this Hive CD, and I
nice.
still got it. I think.
Yeah,
Do I have the Ramones Mania up here too? My CDs are all scattered around,
yeah,
but I
yeah.
got my dad's Generation X greatest hits though up there. So.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, I still carry them around. I don't listen to CDs as much anymore. I'm a huge record collector. I
uh,
DJ a lot,
yeah.
but I still keep them around. Play in the car and
Nice.
stuff. Because also, it's like I don't know. We were like one of the last generations of kids that got to grow up with having CDs and like saving your money and going to buy one, and
Yeah,
then eventually like you'd burn it to your computer, then you could put it on your iPod. So like I don't know, just owning physical media and getting to like look even a CD, you can still open it up, look through the little booklet, you could read the words on it, look at the art. Now you got like a little square that's tiny big,
yeah,
which annoying as me as someone who makes the album art for my own music. I'm looking at it and then trying to make it detailed and nice, and I'm like, only most people are going to ever see this on the tiny little square.
yeah.
So you got to look at it. Inti Huaman, who's a great artist, is our roommate, and he was telling me like anytime I'd be working on something, he's like, zoom it out like a lot, and so you can barely see it anymore. He's like, can you still tell what's going on or not? And I was like, it's a good skill, but it does make me sad too because even the LP is like it's beautiful, it's
Yeah.
big, you know.
Oh yeah. Oh no,
So
I think I
LP,
like physical media. I'm a big into CDs, but I love LPs too. And yeah, you can't beat it, the cover art of LPs.
yeah,
Something about the experience, you're not getting from streaming.
really. You actually get to touch something, you know. You form a completely different relationship with the music by actually like owning it, or
Yeah.
not even if it's it could be your friend's record. You know, you're at your buddy's place and you have to like look through the LP. You got to read the liner notes and like look at all these pictures. Like last night, my buddy put on White Fence Live in San Francisco over here, which is a record I've heard hundreds of times, but I hadn't pulled out the record and like really looked at it. And there's just these photos on the back of the show. And I just stared at it for like 20 minutes, you know, listening to this record along. And it's like, you don't get that if you're like just playing it on Spotify in your car or something.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm interested to know what happened.
Right. Uh,
Yeah.
I agree 100%. Yeah, just a few more questions. I saw where your band made the cover of Austin Chronicle last month. That was big. Do you feel like y'all have gotten a warm reception from the Austin scene?
Oh, yeah, totally. The Chronicle thing was funny because all that week, it was just getting teased by your friends, you know, calling you rock star, like, what's up, rock star?
Yeah.
The Chronicle. I mean, it was all from like homies and stuff, which I was like, you guys know we're not rock stars. We don't want to be. And no, but Austin's great. I mean, it's the reason all of us moved here.
Yeah.
David, the guitar player, I mean, he's from Round Rock, so he was kind of local growing up, but the rest of us all moved here from different parts of Texas. Trace from Laredo, Lucas from Houston, I'm from Dallas. And then sorry, I can't figure out how to turn that off without turning the volume off. But yeah, we've got a warmer like with when we were still with Acid Carousel, we would come down here and play here more often than we play in DFW because we got a better reception and found the scene much more supportive and kind-hearted and welcoming. Uh, so it's good. Yeah, Austin's rad. There's a really cool scene of I don't know younger bands, a lot of people our age, but also older too.
Mhm.
Who are, like we're all very supportive of each other. Everyone does cool stuff. Everyone seems to try and care about what they're doing, you know,
Mhm.
which is rad because a lot of towns you'll go to, or even places like we used to live, we are just like, it doesn't seem like anyone cared, you know?
Mhm.
It was just something to do.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Well, finally, what if you could tell us a little bit about what the South by attendees can expect from your live gig? As I mentioned, you got a show at the 13th floor, March 10th.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what is a sketch live show like?
Um, I don't know. It's hard to tell
Yeah.
from on stage, but from my perception of being up there, there's not a lot of talking.
Yeah.
It's mostly just like there's not a lot of time in between the songs. We'll usually just kind of like go bam, 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 bam for like 30 minutes. And then occasionally we'll joke around with each other, but not really with the audience. Well, you know, we'll always say thank you. I always have to say something to the audience, which is usually just thank you for coming out. I don't know. I'm terrible at stage banter. I'm a nervous wreck when I'm up at gigs and I'm just like, I don't know what to tell these people. I'm not like funny or anything. So I will just kind of do our inside jokes with each other on stage. And I don't know. It's just, we try our darndest to entertain the crowd, but we just do our thing.
Yeah.
Just play rock and roll nice and loud, but not too loud, fast, but not too fast. And hopefully they are entertained.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to checking it all out. Sounds like a
Yeah.
great time.
Yeah. And we'll be playing like 4 or 5 other South. That's just our only official showcase,
Yeah.
but we'll be doing some other gigs as well.
Okay,
That's,
great. Yeah, I'll be sure to include those in the article so people
yeah.
know when to
Hopefully
catch on.
we'll get them all announced soon.
Yeah. Sounds
Kind of
great.
still trying to figure out what time we're playing everywhere, but
Yeah.
that's usually how it goes.
Yeah. All right. Thanks so much, Gus. Good talking to
Yeah.
you.
David, very nice
Yeah.
to
Take
meet you,
care. Nice
man.
meeting
Yeah.
you. Bye.
Have a good